a de longues moustaches. Je répète, Jean a de longues moustaches.
If you focus your attention on the arena, or for our purposes, occupied France, you can see French resistant fighters moving stealthily towards their planned objectives. In this case, a fuel dump. But before they can knock out this valuable supply base, they first have to eliminate the guards. Utilizing coded messages, hundreds of small groups of resistance fighters were activated to play a crucial role in interdicting supply and communication lines many miles away from the actual combat areas, consequently slowing down and delaying the German military's ability to quickly respond to the invasion. France, June 1944, D-Day. As dawn breaks, the horizon fills with the largest armada the world has ever seen. 150,000 men are about to be unleashed onto the beaches and fields of Normandy. Stretching over 80 kilometers from the Orne River in the north through to the Cherbourg Peninsula, the Normandy coastline is heavily defended by fortifications, anti-tank Dragon's Teeth, wire, minefields, and defending German troops. If you look to the center of the arena, you will see German forces from the 352nd Infantry Division setting up in a defensive position on a ridge, commanding views and lines of fire over Omaha Beach. This is the one featured in the film Saving Private Ryan. Omaha Beach, or La Plage d'Or, the Golden Beach to the French, is 7.5 kilometers long and overlooked by cliffs on either side. For the Allies, its importance cannot be underestimated. Failure to take Omaha would leave the British beachheads and the American beachhead at Utah separated and unable to assist each other, putting the invasion in great peril. The United States 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions are given the task of assaulting the beach, supported by a massive sustained naval bombardment at 05:45 hours. Omaha has to be taken, regardless of the casualties. If you look to the east of the arena, US infantry from the 29th Infantry Division can be seen moving forwards to attack the German defences on the right-hand side of the beach with their weapons. Secure in their fortified positions, the German defenders' heavy machine guns, mortars and small arms subject the Americans to sustained fire, which checks their forward momentum. Without armour support, following the failure to land enough of their DD and deep-wading Shermans onto the beach, the American GIs are suffering. However, despite heavy casualties to the assault troops, which spurred Colonel Canham's famous line, They're murdering us here. Let's move inland and get murdered. The Americans are able to gain a foothold and land enough armor, in this case US armor, to assist in suppressing the defenders by sustained heavy fire, allowing the US infantry to finally rally and engage the German defenders on the bluffs, whose morale finally breaks, forcing them to right or surrender. Omaha had been a tough, brutal, and bloody assault for the American GIs, and a difficult baptism of fire for the Sherman crews of the 741st, who only managed to land 16 Shermans on shore, a further 27 lying on the seabed. Yet their job was only beginning, and whilst they'd taken the beachhead, it was now vitally important to help secure and enlarge it. Following another naval bombardment, this time by the Royal Navy, the action moves north along the Normandy coast to Sword Beach, at the mouth of the River Orne and the small port of Ouistreham. Here, the British 3rd Infantry Division was given the task of assaulting and quickly silencing German defences on Sword Beach, if the crucial objective transport hub of Caen was to be captured. However, the Germans were aware of this and had moved the 21st Panzer Division, equipped with Panzer Mark IVs nearby, to attempt to drive the British back into the sea. Armoured support for the initial assault wave was supplied by the 27th Independent Armoured Brigade, the 79th Armoured Division, the famous Hobart's Funnies, and consisted of 3 DD duplex drive Sherman regiments, the 13th, 18th Royal Hussars, the 1st East Riding Yeomanry and the Staffordshire Yeomanry. The 13th, 18th Royal Hussars with infantry in close support assaulting the German beach positions at Lyon-sur-Mer. Here we can see British armour, in this case a Stuart light tank from a wrecker unit, move inland and use its firepower to suppress the German positions, forcing them to withdraw. Of this day of days, Allied forces had suffered approximately 10,000 casualties. Now, not only do the Allies have to contend with the dogged German defenders on the beaches, but also the terrain inland. In this case, what the French call the bocage. These were large, thick hedgerows sprouting out of near impenetrable bases of earth, stone and thorn bushes, which themselves were 4 to 6 feet high and virtually insurmountable by armour, with the added danger of exposing the weak belly plate armour to the Germans if the unlucky vehicle was able to crawl over the hedge. Unfortunately for the Allies, the bocage was very extensive in Normandy, being used to separate and protect the fields from the wind. And together with the numerous apple orchards and sunken roads, the terrain beyond the beaches was adept at slowing down attacks and channeling the armour into anti-tank ambushes, which were increasingly deadly with the use of shaped charged weapons such as the single-use Panzerfaust. Whilst the planning for Operation Overlord had been meticulous for the landing, for the US armour moving inland, the scale of this new terrain was completely unexpected, and they were unprepared for the hell of this hedgerow country. But as was usually the case, the solution came from the soldiers on the front line, with the introduction of a simple and effective invention, what would become known as the Cullen device. Devised and constructed in the field by Sergeant Cullen of the US Army, the Cullen device featured a pair of steel prongs, which, when welded to the front of a tank, could be used to dig in and lift the hedges so that tanks could create their own gaps through which to pass and avoid the German anti-tank guns, Panzerfaust and mines. Here we can see a Sherman using the Cullen device with its prongs to good effect and creating a gap for the armour to push through. The bocage country reinforced the need for close cooperation and mutual support between armour and infantry to nullify the advantages that the terrain provided for the defending German forces. The infantry becoming the eyes and ears, with the tanks offering instant firepower. By the 18th of July, following a series of offences against the bulk of the German forces in the west, British forces were finally able to capture the city of Caen, a long-held D-Day objective. It had taken 6 weeks of hard fighting, but now the Allies could think about moving on from a war of attrition to one of movement. However, to achieve this, they first had to crack the German defences. The long-awaited breakout was about to begin. On the 25th of July, following a massive aerial bombardment by 3,000 aircraft, the Americans launched Operation Cobra. The breakout was on. It was here on the American southern flank that the Allies had a numerical advantage in both men and armour over the Germans. And whilst the British and Commonwealth forces pinned the Germans to the north, it was the American sector that the breakout would be first achieved. Operation Cobra was essentially over in 3 days. The opportunity was now available for the Allies to encircle as many of the remaining German forces as possible at Falaise and push onwards and liberate France and the Low Countries. The battle for Normandy was over. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings the battle to a close. As we always do here at the Tank Museum, we would ask you to stand and pause for a minute's silence as we remember those who did this for real, who serve us now, and who may have to defend our liberties again in the future. We would also especially like you to spare your thoughts for the young crewmen and their families from the Royal Tank Regiment who recently became casualties in a training exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. In reverent memory of the people of all nations who have given their lives in the cause of patriotism and duty, and who now rest united in God's peace. The peace of reconciliation and of love and brotherhood.